Have some coffee. It'll calm me down. Where's Romack?
Oh, at the funeral parlor, Chief. Now, you say you never saw this man before?
Never, Mr. Smith. And I've never been in a police station either. Never in all my life.
Well, don't let us scare you, ma'am. We just want to know how it all happened.
Well, I was coming home from visiting Miss Mansion, and I took a shortcut through the alley. This man appeared out of the dark and asked me to have a drink with him. I told him I never touch liquor and I never talk to strangers. Then he shoved me against the wall, real angry like, grabbed my shoulder and cut it with his ring.
You really fought with him, didn't you?
I don't remember. I guess I must have grabbed his gun from his holster and shot him.
3 times, Miss April.
We're not holding your act against you.
Not in any of the 3 months that I've been here in Denver has anyone so much as looked at me.
I wouldn't go as far as to say that. You're a mighty pretty girl.
I guess I've been too busy being bookkeeper for Mr. McCready to notice any gentleman's glances.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, here's his things. How are you, Miss April?
Just fine, Mr. Romack.
Good. Well, I asked around. Nobody seems to have seen the fella before. Can't have been in town long. Of course, it's getting to be a pretty big town.
M. Clarkson.
Yeah. Name mean anything to you?
No, but it looks like he spent a little time around Sacramento. Stable bill, laundry bill.
Must be his hometown.
Will you gentlemen be wanting me for anything more now?
No, that'll be all. George, you want to see Miss April to her room?
Sure thing.
You will try and find out where he came from. No matter how bad he was, there might be someone who'd want to take care of his remains.
That's exactly what we're going to do, ma'am.
We're going to wire Sacramento tonight. If he has any friends or kin there, the authorities will locate them for us. Yes, sirree. It's a mighty pretty girl.
You sure you're going to be all right, ma'am?
Perfectly, Mr. Romack. You've been more than kind.
Thank you.
Good night. Dakota? You mustn't stay any longer now.
I had to know.
It's working like a charm.
You didn't think we'd get away with it, did you? Sending you here 3 months ago.
Little old bookkeeper me.
Yeah. I told you we'd run into somebody who looked enough like me to make this thing work. I followed him for 2 days.
Well, it's sure good seeing you again, baby.
Well, somebody had to come in here and point him out to you. I missed you too, baby.
Don't make it worse for us now.
I'll be in Golden City at the Crown Hotel
Room 201.
I'll be leaving here tomorrow
with the money.
with the money.
$5,000, Mr. Smith. You mean to tell me Miss April Fenshaw will get $5,000 reward for this gentleman?
You can read the telegram, Mr. Gratch. Sacramento Police.
M. Clarkson, known as Dakota Jackson. Physical description, including ring, watch, and age, makes positive identification. Why, he's wanted for 3 bank robberies and a train holdup. Didn't you have a wanted poster on him?
We had one. No picture.
Miss April will be a rich woman, won't she?
Well, let's say comfortable.
Something eating on you, Smitty?
Did you notice Mr. Dakota Jackson's hands?
Well, what about him?
Well, he must only have worn that ring of his after sundown.
Well, how do you figure that?
A man wears a ring for any length of time. It leaves a little white circle on his finger when he takes it off. And you don't get calloused hands from robbing banks.
Well, he probably ain't been robbing any banks for some time. Probably hiding out in some mine. Look, it's happened before. It's an open and shut case. No angles. Where would you look?
Is there anything else, gentlemen?
No, that'd be all.
Come on, snap out of it. Let's go tell April the good news.
Yeah, you might as well.
Come.
Hold on there, hold on now. Now, can't everybody crowd in here? Come on. Let the little lady catch her breath.
Thank you kindly, Mr. McCready. With all this work of yours I should be doing. I just don't know what to say.
There ain't nothing you have to say, Miss April.
Just be the girl hero of Denver in silence, man.
I just can't believe it. I honestly and truly can't believe it.
When's the money coming?
It should be here by noon. Chief Richards is wired for verification, and we'll be able to issue the reward through the Denver City Bank.
What are you going to do with the money, Miss April?
I don't really know. I haven't thought about it. I have a sister in St. Louis that I could help. And after this shock and all, I could use a nice long vacation.
Well, yes, I guess I can give an employee of mine a vacation. Such an honored employee.
Then I can leave tonight for St. Louis?
Indeed you can, my dear. As a matter of fact, you're taking the rest of the day off right now to get ready.
And I'll bring back pretty dresses and high-heel shoes with pearl buttons, and I might even find a bow, Mr. Smith.
I'm sure you will.
I guess my papa was right. He said hope is always immortal.
Yes, ma'am.
Just don't leave without all that money.
You're joshing me, aren't you, Mr. Romack?
Now, there's a cute little package, Smitty. You know, Edie and I often wonder why you haven't found a good little gal like that. What's bothering you now?
A lot of things.
What things? Name me one.
Dead man. All right. First of all, we've got a dead outlaw who never did a day's work in his life. Yet his hands are all rough and calloused. Number two, there's a ring. It looks as though it's been worn for years. Yet it didn't leave a white circle on the man's finger. Number three, we're asked to believe the dead man was Dakota Jackson. Probably one of the fastest guns in the Southwest, yet a pretty girl has no trouble gunning him down.
And that's why Smitty sent all the men out. When we couldn't find you, that is.
But that wire from Sacramento absolutely identified the dead man as Jackson, didn't it?
Yes, it did, but...
And yet you took every man off the force and sent him out to check every rooming house and livery stable in Denver.
I thought that was the best way to get some results. Look, Chief, that man that was killed didn't come into town on the stage.
We checked at the office.
So he must have ridden in. That means he must have a horse someplace.
Besides, Smitty figures he rented a room somewheres. All we have to do now is find a rooming house where a guy rented a room and didn't show up last night. Simple.
Have you any idea how many rooming houses there are in the city of Denver?
Well, don't yell at me. I'm just his partner. He's the one who's always so dang suspicious.
That's our job, isn't it? To be sure.
A total of 8 men on the force. A whole town to be patrolled, and they're pulled off their jobs just... All right. All right, you can have the men. But for 2 hours. No more.
I knew he'd see it our way.
The chief didn't like it. But my decision to use all the men of the department at once on the case brought the quick results that could have been gotten no other way. An hour or so later, Officer McGowan arrived with an old codger in tow. Howdy, Mac.
Hi, Smitty. This is Mr. Pepperson. Detective Smith and Romack.
Howdy. How are you, sir?
Is that on that job you gave us, Smitty? I met Mr. Pepperson here at a rooming house over on 6th Street. He showed up there looking for his partner, a man named Johnny Corrigan.
So?
That's what I want to know. This feller here, he gets all excited when the landlady says that Johnny didn't come back to his room to sleep last night. If you fellers knew young Johnny like I do.
Descriptions match?
To a T.
Now listen, what's going on here? What's all the fussing?
Mr. Pepperson, you mind telling me what you do?
I'm a miner, mister, with a claim over in the Platte country. And Johnny Corrigan is my partner. And if Johnny wants to have himself a time when he gets into town, it ain't no never mind to the police.
That's right, Mr. Pepperson, except... Landlady say anything else?
Nothing, Smitty. I took him to all the livery stables between here and the rooming house looking for Corrigan's horse. We found the animal at Sam's.
At the stable behind the hotel?
That's right. Riley, the hostler over there, says the man in last night's fracas owned the animal.
Now, look, I'm asking you fellers just once more. Now, what's going on here? And where's Corrigan?
I think we better go to the livery stable and have a little chat with Riley. You stick here, Mac.
Right.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
Hi, Riley.
That's him. Yes, that's what belonged to the fellow that was killed last night.
Are you sure? The one Miss April shot?
Well, sure, I'm sure. When I seen him laying in the alley, I said, I'm going to have to sell the horse to pay for that feed bill.
You fellers trying to say Corrigan's dead?
We're not sure, Mr. Pepperson, but we'll find out.
You mean maybe Miss April shot the wrong man? There ain't going to be no reward.
Reward? What reward? Johnny Corrigan never did a wrong thing in his whole life. He was like a son to me. A fine, honest boy.
Something's cockeyed here, Smitty.
Well, we've been thinking there was.
Mr. Smith, can I sell the horse or can't I?
Better hang on to him for a while, Riley. I'll let you know. Come along, Mr. Pepperson. Let's take a little walk over to the funeral parlor. You better get Richards, George.
Yep. That's Corrigan, all right. Or my name ain't Billy Pepperson.
You sure?
Take a look. He's got a knife scar on his right wrist. I ain't crazy. You live with a man 10 years. You know what he looks like. You got the wrong name on that man in the coffin, mister.
He's right. The scar's there. This changes things a little.
I told you. And he wouldn't attack no woman either. I know better than that. Somebody lied to you, mister.
I heard you were here. Anything I can do?
No, Mr. Gratz, just a little more identifying. Nothing to worry about.
Nobody else knows anything about this but us. You want your partner's death solved, don't you?
I'd give him a store teeth.
Then keep your mouth shut about the mistaken identity. As far as you're concerned, there's still Dakota Jackson back there till we tell you otherwise. Now, look, you go back over to the stable and tell Riley you made a mistake. Go ahead and let Corrigan's horse be sold. And you just sit tight till we tell you otherwise.
Nothing wrong, is there, gentlemen?
Everything's just dandy.
I'll take care of that. Yes, sirree. I'll take care of that right away.
Looks like our Miss Fenshaw isn't such a sweet little bookkeeper after all. Go on.
Well, I'm saying all of Dakota Jackson's identification must have been placed on Corrigan after he was killed. You buy that?
Right.
I still can't believe that girl lied to us, Smitty.
No. Well, she said she was hit with that ring there. How could she get hit with it when the man didn't have it on till after he was killed?
You sure she didn't swing this alone?
Dakota had to have been with her. Where'd the ring and the watch come from? She didn't have a purse. Who carried away Corrigan's possessions?
Boy, what someone will do for $5,000.
No, it was for more than that, George. It was real smart. Jackson not only placed himself in a pauper's grave so the law would stop looking for him, but he had the audacity to let his lady love collect the reward for his death.
Well, how do you want to handle this?
I don't figure Dakota's in town. Not as she's leaving tonight. They'll probably meet someplace. George and I'd better follow her. You don't have to make a speech, Miss April. We just hope this money brings you a lot of things that, at this moment, I'm sure you don't anticipate.
Yeah, well, looky here. So, Riley, help the little lady with her thing. Don't stand there like a jaybird. Yes. Now, you watch out for that money, Miss April. Guard it with your life.
I'll be sure and take your advice, Mr. McCready. Thank you all. Thank you for everything.
Get the horses ready, George. Let me have a long ride before that little bird lights on a limb.
Just put them over there in the bag, Mr. Riley.
Yes, sir. Had a scare this morning about you getting that reward money, Miss April.
What kind of a scare, Mr. Riley?
Well, this fella coming into town got his eye on a horse that I just sold. He claimed it belonged to his partner, whom he couldn't find. Well, for a minute, we all thought that the man you shot was the fellow that was missing and you hadn't killed Dakota Jackson at all.
Who thought that, Mr. Riley?
Mr. Smith, Mr. Romack. And they all went over to the funeral parlor to straighten things out.
Straighten what out?
Oh, it was all cleared up finally. The fellow Pepperson come back, said it was all a mistake, that the man in the coffin wasn't the one they was looking for at all. Funny thing, though. He told me to forget the whole business, to say nothing to nobody. Now, why do you suppose he'd say a thing like that?
Maybe he had a reason.
Well, what kind of reason?
Maybe he wanted to play a trick on us. And Mr. Smith was in on it, too, and that's why no one said anything to me about it.
Maybe. But you got the reward money, that's all that counts. Is there anything else I can do for you, Mum?
You've done more than enough, Mr. Riley.
All right. Good day, Mum.
Arriving Golden City, bring extra luggage. Let me know if you have room for it. Deliver Crown Hotel, James Brown. That'll be 4:20. Didn't know you knew anyone in Golden City.
Just a distant cousin. I wanted to tell him of my good fortune. That will get there before the stage, won't it?
It'll be there in about an hour.
Thank you.
And good luck to you, Miss April.
I have something very important to say to you, gentlemen. I'd like to go into your office a moment. Could we be alone?
Sit down.
Gentlemen, I've lied to you. The man who was shot the other night wasn't Dakota Jackson.
Oh, wait a minute.
Let me finish. Dakota's been my husband for 6 years. He sent me to this town to fool everyone. And I did. Against my principles. I had no alternative. I was afraid for my life.
But the man you shot...
Dakota shot him and forced me to run for help. He's been watching me ever since, till the reward money was delivered today. He took every bit of it from me.
Where is he now?
He's gone.
Why didn't you say something about this earlier?
I was scared. But I've grown to love this town and respect the people here. I can't go on fooling them any longer. I know Dakota would kill me if he knew I talked. But I'd like to help you catch him.
That's a right nice speech, ma'am. I'm sure the judge will allow it in your favor.
I mean it, Mr. Smith. If I have to go to jail, it'll be with the conscience that I did it to preserve my own life. As I said before, I'm scared of Dakota. But I want you to catch him.
Where is he now, Miss April?
I was to meet him tonight at the Crown Hotel in Golden City.
He has the money?
I can help you clear the way. He won't suspect me.
All right. We'll see that you'll be quite safe. You stay in your room till the stage arrives. Mr. Romack will see that nothing happens to you.
You won't tell anyone about this, will you?
No. No, we wouldn't want any word to get back to Mr. Jackson.
You will be careful, both of you.
Yes, ma'am. We're always careful.
Such a nice going away they gave me. It's going to be real sad having to go back and tell them all the truth about me.
Yes, ma'am.
He's in room 204, but you better let me go first.
Just a minute.
We're just visiting a friend.
What's the matter?
Not a thing, Miss April. Just go ahead and knock.
Dakota, it's me. Dakota.
Come on out, Jackson.
What's going on here?
You better get your sheriff.
What made you think he wasn't in 204?
A couple of things. Number one, she hasn't told us the truth since this whole thing started. Two, when I checked the desk on the way in, the key to 204 was in the box. A man waiting for a pretty girl wouldn't go off and forget his key, would he?
I wouldn't.
Here it is, Chief, for whatever it's worth to you. When you're hunting a hold-up gang, the roadway to a deserted old house sometimes looks inviting. Sometimes... I'd heard the scream. I was sure of that. But there was no sign of the screamer. None at all.
Just disappeared, Smitty.
Just disappeared, Chief.
Just disappeared, George.
That's what the man said, Chief. I heard.
All right, you two. But I'm telling you, I saw it. The body of Frank Malloy.
Yeah, with that gun near him.
But you know, Smitty, Frank Malloy never even carried a gun.
It's one of the things that's bothering me. The other is the kind of gun it is.
Looks like an ordinary Derringer to me.
Take another look.
Presentation model.
That's right. Duplicate of the one Booth used to kill Lincoln. They don't make them anymore.
Well, I don't care. I don't care if it's a copy of the one that killed Alexander Hamilton. This whole thing's ridiculous. I send you out to check up on a holdup, and you come back with some story about a disappearing body and a gun that killed President Lincoln.
Duplicate. And another thing, Chief. This gun, the body, and the holdup's just might tie in together.
How's that, Smitty?
Remember that stagecoach robbery a couple of weeks back, the one from Phoenix?
What about it?
That drummer from Philadelphia was on it.
That's right, and part of the loot was a Derringer.
You trying to tell me that Frank Malloy is tied into these holdups?
All I'm telling you, Chief, is that this gun was with Frank Malloy's body when I found it.
Where are you going?
I think I'll have a talk with Mrs. Malloy.
All right, Smitty, maybe you did see Frank Malloy's body lying there. But isn't it just possible that he might have taken a bad fall? That he really isn't dead?
Yes, Smitty, maybe when you heard that scream and ran into the house, he just came to and left.
You can't tell a woman she's a widow until you're sure.
I'm sure.
Where do you think you're going?
He's my partner.
Well, you just sit yourself right down, partner. I want somebody to be around here in case Smitty's wrong. Frank Malloy might stop in and say he saw a missing detective last night.
You'll excuse me if I continue working while we talk, gentlemen. I promised one of my customers this would be ready this evening, and she's depending on it.
We don't mind a bit. Go right ahead.
Now, what's so important is to bring two official gentlemen like yourselves out to see a poor woman like me.
Your husband, Mrs. Malloy. When's the last time you saw him?
About noon yesterday, just before he rode off.
Rode off. Where was he riding to?
Leadville, I think. He mentioned he had business out of town.
Then he didn't come home last night.
No, I didn't expect him.
Mrs. Malloy, have you ever seen this before?
No.
It isn't your husband's?
Oh, no. Frank doesn't own a gun. Why? Is anything wrong? Has something happened to Frank?
Mrs. Malloy, your husband's dead.
Dead?
Shot. I was passing by the old Foley place when it happened. He was dead when I got to him.
Know you're a little late?
I would have been here sooner. But I had visitors.
Huh?
Richards and that Detective Smith.
They ask about the pistol?
Just the way you said they would. I was wide-eyed. Jim, why can't we go away together now?
Look, honey, for the time being, we have to play it safe. Keep apart.
Safe. I hate that word when it means I can't be with you.
I know. But it won't be long. Do you know what she could do if we couldn't produce a body? She could go to the mayor, to the city council, and we'd all be out in the street.
Chief, I swear I saw him.
Will you stop saying that? I don't care what you think you saw. But I'm telling you what you'd better see. You'd better see Frank Malloy, alive or dead. And you better bring him back here, too, so I can see him. Understood? Well, what are you waiting for?
Me, nothing. You told me to stay around here and wait.
I know what I said. Now get moving, partner.
George.
Yeah?
2 men. Look how deep those prints are. They were carrying something, all right.
It's Malloy.
Mm-hmm. Take a look at this set of prints.
The left foot turns in.
2 to 1, we got ourselves a man with a limp.
Smitty, no use trying to trail him with all these other tracks in here.
You know that scream I heard?
Yeah?
It came at least 30 seconds after the shot.
So?
It was a fake to get me into the house so they could get rid of that body.
You know something else, Smitty? That scream you heard ain't nothing to the one Richard's gonna let out when we come back without Malloy.
Well, what do you mean you couldn't find the body?
We found some prints, though.
Who needs prints?
There were 4 people out there, 3 men and a woman. The woman's prints were only in the back of the house.
Oh, will you stop playing around with that lantern?
Strike you funny that no one living out there, there'd be a lantern full of kerosene in one of the rooms. Find out anything?
Kind of interesting, too.
Let's have it.
Well, you know how Malloy was always the quiet type, loved his wife and all? Well, the past couple of months, he's been running around with a girl.
What girl?
Peggy Casson.
Peggy Casson.
You know her?
Yeah, she works over at Conley's Saloon.
Hi, Mr. Smith. This official, Smitty?
No. I'd like to think of it as just a friendly little conversation.
What's on your mind, friend?
Frank Malloy. Talk as you've been holding his hand.
Oh, Tuck's wrong. I just been listening to his troubles. You know me, Smitty. As long as a man can buy, I can listen.
Tell you anything interesting?
Just mostly that the Arabs are right.
The Arabs?
An Arab prizes his horse first, his wife second, and never trusts a friend.
Well, I know Frank had a horse and a wife. Did he have any friends you know of?
Just those two back there.
Never saw them before.
New in town. Names, Pete Keller and Monty something or other.
Thanks, Peg.
With you, Smitty, a friendly conversation is always a pleasure.
I wanted to see if the two at the bar would make a move. They didn't. Instead, Conley came out of his office and took Peg back in with him.
What did Smith want?
Oh, we just dropped in for a friendly talk, Jim. Nothing to worry about.
You know how I am, Peggy. It's a holdover from my younger days. The law always makes me nervous.
Oh, he was just curious about Frank Malloy.
Malloy? What did you tell him?
Nothing. What's to tell? Just that he's been hanging around with those two new men out there.
You told him that? Peggy, I ought to break your neck. From now on, you don't tell anybody anything about what happens in my place. You understand?
Just a minute. I only work here. You don't own me. I can say anything I want to my friends.
I don't happen to like your particular friends.
You gonna tell me what kind of friends to have?
Oh, you and I better have an understanding. As long as you work for me, you do what I say. Smith, what do you want?
Nothing. Come in. I wouldn't. As long as you're here, why don't you sit down? I'll admit that just because the limbs may not be evidence, but...
Well, I'm glad you admit that.
Malloy was tied in with them, and they're tied in with Conley.
And you're trying to tie them all in with a holdup.
And the murder, too.
Well, then why didn't you bring them in?
On what charge? Striking a peace officer? I nail him, it'll be on a lot more than that.
If you're right, this is the place where we can get the answers out of them. Did you find out about the Foley place?
Well, I went to the courthouse, and the deed was in Venetia Malloy's name. And guess who paid for it?
Conley.
Well, how'd you know?
Hey, Chief, take a look at this wick. Does that mean anything to you?
Well, it's been used pretty much. It's homemade. Not the regular kind you buy in the store.
You know, I think I better pay another visit to our little seamstress.
Well, Mr. Smith, I hope you have some good news about Frank.
I'm afraid not, Mrs. Malloy. I thought perhaps you might have a picture of him that I could show around, just in case I was mistaken. Tintype, anything you have will do.
I'll see what I can find. He had this taken a couple of years ago. Really isn't very good, but it'll help.
You write a real pretty hand, Mrs. Malloy.
I only hope Frank will be home before you have to use that picture.
So do I.
All right, Clarky, where's the bottle? I had a bottle right there, and I want one right there now.
George, hadn't you ought to take it easy on this stuff? I wouldn't want to see you get in any trouble.
Trouble? You gonna get me into trouble, Clarky?
No, not me, George, but... Well, you know how the chief feels about drinking on duty. And Smitty, too.
The chief, Smitty. That's all I hear, the chief, Smitty. What about me? What am I, a dope or something? Who rode out there and found it anyhow, huh? Who rode out there and found it?
Oh, I don't know, George. Did you find something?
Who found something? I didn't say nothing.
Well, what'd you find, George? I bet you found a gold mine. That's it.
Ain't no gold in a stiff.
A stiff? You mean somebody found a body? Well, whose body is it, George?
Who said anything about finding a body? You know something, Clarky? You talk too much.
How'd you make out?
Now, that's a silly question asking me. I made out fine, naturally. Hey, Smitty, you should have seen old Monty and Pete. They went up to Conley's to report. Came barreling out of there, got on their horses, hightailed it for the high country like you don't know what.
Which way?
Up that old canyon road.
Malloy's still down there.
Lomax could have meant any other body. That ain't the only stiff in Denver.
Let's get back, let Conley breathe easy again. Our little plot had worked. They had shown us where Malloy's body was hidden, and I had plans for that body.
Same cloth. Which means only one of two people could have taken that lantern to the Foley place.
Malloy or his missus?
You know, Smitty, with the wick, the derringer, the footprints, no jury's going to take that as any proof.
You're convinced, aren't you?
If I am.
I'd like to try something.
Is it legal?
I'll nail Malloy's killer so no jury will ever turn him loose.
Well, I'll take that for yes.
Smitty?
Next, Romack and I arranged to call on an old friend, a reformed forger named Walter Fry. George had located him in back of the livery stable. Here you are.
Yeah, if you please. Let me see. There's a simple slant, rounded letters.
denotes a very passionate nature. The writer was a woman.
How about this one?
Yeah, much larger. More determined.
Can you do them?
If I can't, nobody can.
You boys wait here.
Darling, I was so worried. As soon as I got your note, I came
My note.
Yes, I came right over. Jim, what's wrong?
Honey, I didn't send any note. I received one.
But who could have done it? Smith. Do you suppose he's found Frank?
No, the boys checked that earlier. But he must suspect something. Come on, we can talk later. Right now, we've got to get out of here.
Well, I wonder what brought you two out here. I wouldn't worry about Monty and Pete. They're well taken care of. Well?
All right, so we're in love. Any law against that?
No, there isn't. But there's the law against murdering a husband who finds out about it.
Oh, come on, Smith. You know you can't prove murder without a body.
That's right. That's what the law says.
And you have no objection if I see Mrs. Malloy home. You know where I'll be if you need me.
Yes. I know where you're going to be for a long time, Conley. Try that door over there. I'll send a couple of boys out to give you a hand, George.
All right, Smitty.
Romack and I were quite content. Our plan for moving Malloy's body into that closet had worked. It was Venetia Malloy's scream I had heard that night. A scream she'd regret for all the years she'd spent behind bars.